From the heart of the land of the Guardians, where the dog pound roars, the Cavs soar, and heartbreak is just part of the game, this is 3 and Out, Cleveland Sports Talk. With Jason, Drew, and Michael, 3 diehard fans breaking down the highs, the lows, and everything in between. No fluff, no filters, just Cleveland sports the way it's meant to be. Now let's get into it. Here's your hosts, Michael, Jason, and Drew.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is 3 and Out, operating today as Second and Long. Here with Jason. We're going to talk mainly Browns, obviously, after week 1. Get into some details and some thoughts, feedback, that a few extra nuggets here at the end. That's what you should have caught it. Extra nuggets.
Extra nuggets.
Yeah.
I like that.
Who doesn't like extra nuggets? But anyway, before we get into it, we are operating. We're trying some new things out today. We just tried to record and had a mess up with the TV in the background. If for some reason it does it again, we will probably just keep going. I'll try to fix it while we're talking. We're kind of doing this on the fly, trying something new. So bear with us. We'll have people coming home here in a little bit. That'll probably bring a little noise in the background, but we're going to make the best of it until we can get Mike back. He's our tech guru when it comes to AV stuff. So
and when we open up our own studio. So like and subscribe so we can get our own studio.
What he said.
Yeah.
That. But before we begin, Jason, been a while since we've had you on the mic.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what's been going on, your thoughts on things, at least leading up to the game.
Yeah, it's been an exciting summer. Several weeks since we've been together to talk about some of the things that are happening. We made it all the way through training camp and cut downs and the roster realignment and preseason games, the start of the college football season, which was kind of exciting. Ohio State and Texas in week 1, and a dominant performance from Ohio State, which may or may not be in the extra nuggets section of our talk. Overall, some exciting things happening in Cleveland sports, Ohio sports in general, and week 1's over, and I'm not completely depressed.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely happy.
You're always
depressed.
more on the optimism side than me. I feel good about a few things, but we are still the Browns, and we will find a way to.
We
make
did Browns it up. We did Browns up week 1 for sure. A couple things that I thought were refreshing, and Joe Flacco was exactly who we needed him to be, even though it didn't come across with a win. He was exactly who we needed him to be.
Before we get into that,
yes,
I think they want to hear about the team in Ohio that's even better than the Cleveland Guardians, your softball team.
Well, we currently are 4-2.
See? Better than the Guardians.
Yes. And they're doing much better without me on the weekends that I haven't been able to be there. But they do let the old guy show up and participate, which I do appreciate. If there's any of my teammates listening there, I do appreciate dragging the old guy along. But no, we're doing pretty well.
Any dingers yet?
Well, there have been dingers, not by me. I've
close.
I've hit the ball. I've made contact.
There we go. Attaboy.
Yes.
Again, better than we can say for the Guardians.
That's
most
right.
of the time.
Most of the time. However, the Guardians are within striking distance of a wild card. So, anyway.
Yeah. So, just want to catch you up on Jason. So, we'll get into it. Actually, the next slide will help the lighting a little bit, so you'll be able to see us a little better. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You be the judge.
Yeah.
But first thing we're going to talk about is obviously Joe Flacco. A lot of debate going into the season on should it be Flacco or should it be Pickett, which I still would. There's a part of me, if you remember back to the episode, that kind of wanted Kenny Pickett just so we could name the offensive line the picket fence. Didn't happen, so we have to move on to Flacco. But again, there was talk of, should you play the rookies so you know if you need to draft a quarterback next year? If so, is it Sanders or is it Dylan Gabriel? A lot of discussion there. When it came down to who is the best quarterback, I don't think there was really any question that it was Flacco.
Yeah.
It just has to do with what goals you had in mind and what you were aiming to do this season. And to me, when you're thinking about your veterans, your Joel Batonios, your Wyatt Tellers, your Myles Garrett's, your Denzel Wards, your guys that have been here for a while, they want to win.
Yeah.
They don't want to go through a rebuild.
Right.
You've got to at least give it a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I guess overall, we put some things up here to talk about. You can see Flacco, 31 for 45, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, a little asterisk around the 2 interceptions, 70% completion, and he had a couple rushes. The old man ran the ball a couple times. So overall, stat line way better than Joe Burrow.
Yes.
We'll get into the defense here in a little bit, but initial feedback from Flacco, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the stuff we put up there.
I mentioned it earlier, and that was exactly the performance. That's exactly the Joe Flacco that this team needs to have a chance to win. Obviously, having a chance to win and actually closing the deal is a problem for the Browns, but none of that, I don't believe any of that can fall squarely on Joe Flacco and his performance. 68% completion percentage, 69% completion percentage.
It's like 68.8 if you want to be exact.
Yeah. So
I rounded up in the graphic.
That's exactly what we need. He controlled the offense. He was calm, cool, and collected. He made the throws, the interceptions. I saw one video today where a guy was like, you can't let Joe off scot-free because those balls weren't exactly where they needed to be. These guys get paid. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Harold Fannin, all the guys who had blatant dropsies. Get paid millions of dollars to catch the freaking ball.
All I gotta do, catch the ball. Block,
and
but catch the ball.
Those balls, while not, squarely in the chest necessarily, were squarely in 2 hands.
Yeah.
And catchable balls. So
if I throw you your car keys and you go like this, and they fall and hit the ground, you don't say bad throw.
Right.
It hits you in the hands. Catch the ball.
And I believe if we were to ask those receivers, they would honestly
100%.
It was on them, But that, again, and I think I heard Flacco say it in the post-game interview, this is a team sport. It's not, you can certainly blame the drops and the interceptions. You can certainly blame the kicks, missed kicks.
We'll get to that as well.
One thing you can't blame, minus that, maybe that first drive, our defense was on point. But back to Flacco, he was exactly who we need him to be. And how long we're going to get this Joe Flacco? We got him for 5 games in 2023. He had an off season in Indy last year.
Really, his numbers in Indy, though, were still better than any quarterback that played for Cleveland last year.
Absolutely. But by what I would say our standards based on 2023, it was an off year for him.
Yeah.
If we can get this kind of Joe Flacco for any extended period of time, I think he puts us in a position to win. And I believe management feels like the roster is still built to win and win now. And now I think
they're preaching it, but I don't know if they believe it.
Well, yeah,
in my mind,
you could be right. We're obviously lacking things. We haven't really touched on it, but that was our offense. We had no running game.
No, our running game was abysmal.
Yeah.
There was a couple late runs by Sampson that I thought were good signs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go off topic.
Yeah.
And we'll bring it back to Joe Flacco. But it is a catastrophic failure. You know how I feel about Barry. You know how I feel about Stefanski. It is a catastrophic failure. To me, that is a fireable offense that you incentivize Jerome Ford and let Nick Chubb go. And Nick Chubb's down in Houston is the RB1, averaging 5 yards a carry, one game, but he did in the preseason too. And Jerome Ford, I would take any back that we cut or put on our practice squad after preseason over what I saw from Jerome Ford yesterday.
Yeah, couldn't break a tackle. 6 carries, 8 yards, averaging 1.3. A catch for minus yards. There just was nothing positive.
No.
And that's supposed to be your RB1. He's the veteran in the room right now.
He was for the last 2 years.
And Dylan Sampson was a pleasant. I don't even call it a surprise. I was high on this kid. Nathan, my buddy down in Tennessee, a huge Tennessee fan, Tennessee Volunteer fan, was super high. And everything coming out of college, was Dylan Sampson he's going to be special.
Yeah.
And I think he showed, maybe not a bell cow back. He's not going to be the guy that can get.
He's not your every down back.
Right. But
we didn't draft him to be.
Right. But you give that guy, 8 to 10 to 12 touches running the ball, plus what do you have, 8 catches on 8 targets?
Yeah.
And I did see a stat. I know we're all kind of on a Dylan Sampson train here with the Flacco graphic, but the average catch for Sampson was 3.6 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
That was where he received the ball 3.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and so gained 64 yards.
Yeah.
So his true gain after catch was like over 80 yards.
Yeah. Compare that to what you just said about Jerome Ford.
Yes. Yeah.
Caught it behind the line, tackle behind the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Now back to the running game. That is a long-term recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah, you got to have especially with Flacco.
Right.
That being able to get at least a play action that's going to sell it to the defense.
Yes.
But when you're averaging less than 2 yards a carry,
nobody's buying. Nobody's buying what you're selling.
No, they don't care if you hand it off.
Yeah.
We'll get the guy by the time he gets to the line anyway.
Yeah. And here's another disturbing thought process. We're going into Baltimore this week, who just lost a close game with Buffalo.
Oh, they're going to be.
Buffalo had 108 yards rushing against Baltimore, and 40 of those were Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We're not going to get 40 yards out of Joe Flacco. Our quarterback's not going to run for 40 yards. So if we don't get Judkins back this week, then we're thinking of it could be a similar recipe. We need to rely on Joe Flacco to throw for 300 yards and, hope that the play action sells when Baltimore ain't going to be buying it.
Yeah.
So, few other bright spots there regarding the passing game. In my opinion, we had, I think, 15 targets to the tight end if you include Njoku. Njoku had 6 and Fannin had 9 targets. So we knew the tight end was going to be a big part. Flacco and Njoku had, a magical connection back in 2023. And I know he was real excited to have Joe as the starter. And, they didn't connect a ton. I think Njoku had 3 catches for 37 yards. But Harold Fannin, you called that one pre-draft.
I did like that. That's my my claim for this year. I may not get a lot right, but hopefully I get that one right.
Yeah. Well, Mason Graham was your other pick, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
This fixed here, but
there were some bright spots. The receiving core, as a whole, I wouldn't give them a very good grade just because of the drops, but. It's refreshing to see. We've all been very critical of Stefanski's offense, his play calling over the years. But here we have Joe Flacco, a veteran, 6'6" or whatever he is, that sits back there and can run this offense how it's designed, and he spreads the ball around. He gives targets. Judy 8 targets, Sampson 8 targets, Fannin 9 targets, Tillman 8 targets. Njoku 6 targets, and then a few others at the bottom. But he spreads the ball around, and there were guys that were open. And if you remember last year, maybe it was even the past couple years, we were always like, why are our guys never open?
Yeah.
Everybody's blanketed.
Everybody.
And there were guys that were open.
Mhm.
Running. I think the routes were crisp, and so is there cause for depression? Yeah, you lose a game by 1 point. When you miss a extra point, and you miss a chip shot field goal. A couple drops. Key drops at the end of the game when you're driving. Yeah, there's a little cause. We Brownsed it up, but there is also some cause for optimism. I think I saw some things offensively that I liked and are encouraging, and defensively, there's not much you can complain about.
Yeah. No, and I want to go back to Flacco real quick, and I apologize. The TV went out again. This laptop is going kaput on me. I'm trying to get it up here while we go back. But with Flacco, just a couple of things that I noticed. On the negative, I was talking to you earlier, compared to, I didn't, admittedly didn't watch him a lot last year, but compared to 2 years ago when he was with us, there were some plays that, he would drop back to pass. You could see a wide receiver running an out or some type of timing play. And it looked like he was seeing the play developed, go to pass it, and then not that the release was slow, but the whole movement to release the ball was slower. Like he almost needs to start the process of throwing the ball sooner to get those timing routes down.
Yeah.
Now, the one touchdown he did have, the touchdown throw to Cedric Tillman, that was a beautiful play.
Yeah.
That was another one in the back of the end zone, kind of threw a little lame, threaded the needle, almost reminiscent of what connection he had with Amari Cooper 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that they were able to do. But, that was one of the negatives. The other thing I had put on there too was he's slow.
Yeah.
But he still has enough movement to extend plays, to get out, and to at least do something when the pocket collapses or, they just need to get a couple extra yards. He at least has that ability. Not that it's,
Yeah. No,
he's not going to run for, 20-yard gains anymore, but enough to do something.
Right.
So,
Get himself out of trouble.
Yeah.
The offensive line, I didn't see. Did Conklin come back in after the eye injury? Or I saw
that's
70.
a good question. I didn't even pay attention to it.
Number 71 came in and played.
Yeah, he played a lot.
But for the most part, two
we
sacks.
didn't really even talk about the offensive line much, but yeah.
2 sacks. You throw the ball 45 times,
You're gonna get sacked.
you're gonna get you're gonna get pressured.
The NFL.
The one thing I do like, and this is gonna sound crazy, maybe it's gonna sound crazy, but he doesn't get himself in trouble. The design. We talked a little bit about this off podcast when we were talking about Sanders and Gabriel in the preseason, but the design of the play and how the quarterback functions within the design of the play. Play action or a 7-step drop or a 5-step drop or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Flacco doesn't get himself in trouble by not doing what's scripted.
Yeah.
The offensive line held their own. I'm not saying they were perfect by any stretch, but they allowed him, for the most part, to throw 45 passes without heavy pressure. And again, it's Cincinnati, but Cincinnati, Hendrickson now didn't work out with the team, but still got a sack and 3 tackles. But he's not an easy guy to kind of suppress.
Right.
He's not.
Right.
In my opinion, I don't think he's anywhere close to Myles Garrett. But Cincinnati fans might disagree. But we held him in check, even though he didn't really function through the preseason and camp with them. But I was pleasantly surprised at the offensive line. And again, I like what Flacco brings to this offense. And I think, given the opportunity to mentor these young quarterbacks, if they, that's the dilemma that the Browns face this year. Are we going to be in a position after week 6, 7, 8 where, we're in the hunt and we can make a playoff run and we keep Flacco
Do you really think?
I don't, again, the optimist in me, I saw enough to continue to be optimistic going into week 2.
Yeah.
And that's the dilemma. If the Browns are 1-5, 1-6, I see him making a switch to a rookie. It's maybe not a shot at Flacco.
Well,
maybe it's not Flacco's fault that we're 1-6.
And I think in those 6 games, this and maybe Minnesota, because that's when we play in London, are the only winnable ones. So to me, I look at it and I'm like, 2 and 4 might be the best after the first 6. Now I'm thinking 1 and 5 because we let this one go.
Yeah. The only argument I have, again, as the optimist of the group here, is that it's early in the season and all the preseason hype, Kansas City losing, there were, Cincinnati was what, 6.5 early in, when the first line came out, they were 6.5 point favorites over the Browns. I don't know. It's too early to crown anybody at this point.
That is true.
It's like, Pittsburgh put what, 32 points up or 34 points up in their win. Yeah. Mm-hmm. On the Jets. Yeah. There needs to be a little bit of perspective. I think we need to see how this fleshes out for a few weeks. Yes, on paper, the first 6 weeks of the schedule is absolutely brutal.
But if you look at those 6 games, what were the most winnable?
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Cincinnati and Minnesota.
And now you got to think situation too. Now you're going against Baltimore, which we'll give a little preview later.
Yeah.
Team that they're going to come in.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to run over you, through you, on top of you, stomple you into the dirt.
We gave up 42 yards rushing to Cincinnati. Chase Brown started off, had a really good first drive, and then it
Derrick
was nothing.
Henry was my only fantasy.
Yeah, Derrick Henry had what, 136 or 160 yards?
179 yards, I think.
And Lamar for another 70.
Mason Graham will get tested.
Yes. Well, the whole defense as a whole.
I'm just talking in terms of Schlesinger.
Lamar has always given us fits. Since he came into the league.
Yeah, that's why it was nice to have JOK.
It was he was the X factor. Yeah. So it's going to be listen, and I think I mentioned it in our text thread this morning. Baltimore's 12.5 point favorites over Cleveland. It's at Baltimore. It's going to be it's going to be a huge test. I'm not delusional enough to say I have the Browns winning this game.
You're not.
But what's that?
You're not?
I'm not. But I do. I think it's going to be highly competitive. And again, I'm not counting us out either.
Yeah.
I think I saw enough, to say there's something there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe we switch gears, talk a little bit of defense now.
Yeah. I mean, so the only last thing I want to say, at least on Flacco, and we're kind of going. These were just things to talk about, but is. When we get 4, 5, 6 games and people are clamoring for rookies, they're going to talk about this game with Flacco and they're going to talk about his number of interceptions. How many touchdowns, how many interceptions when it comes to his stats when the rookies need to play. And the reality is, and so I put it at the top here, not all interceptions are equal. Neither one of those interceptions, I don't care what anybody says, your hands are on it, you catch the ball, like you said earlier.
Yeah. And
the fact that I know 6 weeks, 7 weeks from now, it's going to be X number of touchdowns versus X number of interceptions. Everybody's going to forget that these two were catchable balls in critical situations, not to mention the drops on 3rd and 4th down by Fannin and Judy that killed another. You had 3 drives killed by drops by our receivers.
Yeah.
Now, let's get on to the even worse news. Oh, no, we're doing defense next.
Yeah, let's do a little defense. There were, absent that first drive.
If I can get this, kind of like frozen on. Weird. 2 copies of.
All right.
Well,
absent that first drive, I thought our defense, played superb.
Yeah.
Part of the talk leading up to week 1 was how high-powered Cincinnati's offense was, and that their defense had holes.
Yeah.
And, I think we proved that their defense had holes. I think that was a winnable game. And I think our offense, in general, under Joe Flacco, had us in position to put points on the board.
Yeah.
And there were other factors that made that fail. Our defense, however, completely shut down what a lot of people consider to be an elite offense. And we held what is considered. We held what
We're setting my back for now.
Yeah, we held what was considered to be an elite quarterback to barely 50% passing and 100 yards. And,
well, if you count his sacks, he was 95 total yards passing.
Yeah, 95 yards. Yeah. That's
elite level. Good evening.
Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. No, you're good. You're good.
We already said we've already had TV snafus, and we're just going with it.
Yeah.
So we're good. But so do you like what we did with it though? Are we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So problem is it keeps disconnecting from the laptop, but we're making our best with it.
One step at a time.
Yeah. So, but with regards to our defense in the passing game, a lot of people, coming into this season, Cincinnati's offense was considered probably top 3, top 5 worst or best, top 5 at worst, best offense.
Yes.
And they have their struggles earlier in the year, and they're known for that. That's been kind of their, the Browns are there's always next year team. The Bengals of late have always been we stink
slow
early.
start. Yeah.
Slow start to the year.
Yeah.
And, can some of this be attributed to that? Maybe. But I tell you what, after that first drive or two, to start the game, and they were running the ball, Chase Brown find some lanes,
Mm-hmm.
they were making key plays on key downs and things like that. But it was, once they kind of found a rhythm, it was, the Bengals couldn't do anything. They ended up, I don't even know, put it up there, they had 7 yards total in the second half.
Yeah.
Which I saw, I think I sent it to you guys, a post. It's the first time in the last 25 years that a team has had that little of offense and still won the game.
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
again, a Browns thing to do.
Yes, it is.
But it wasn't just, now Miles is obviously the catalyst of our defense, and his back-to-back sacks. I tell you what, so remember a couple years ago, and it wasn't Cincinnati, was it, when he did or was it when he did the crossover move, the dribble move?
Oh, maybe
was that Cincinnati?
That may have been.
So there was a move, wasn't quite as noticeable, but it was on that second sack. He started off the line, he kind of faked inside, came back outside, then ran at the offensive lineman, then did another stutter step, and then just bull rushed the lineman back into Joe Burrow. But he did it so fast, I don't know how it's humanly possible to do all that movement, then run through another human into another human. Yes, another very
human.
large
Yes.
human into a human.
Yeah.
Only things that Myles Garrett could do. And then he also had, did I put up there? He had 4 tackles for losses on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, he just was, during that second half, he was a complete. So yes, it begins and ends with him. But, and you can see up there, there's other people who played well, like Greg Newsome.
Yeah.
I was not very high on him coming into the year. But if he can play like that all year long,
yeah,
we've got 2 bona fide cornerbacks on the outside.
Yeah.
Because even the plays where Chase and Higgins got catches, he was right on them.
Yep.
And there was one play where they caught the ball towards the sideline, and he was right there and made a play on the ball, didn't knock it out, but he was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Which is huge,
Yeah.
and that's, again, I don't know all the defensive scheming that goes on,
Right.
but that's been the past 5-6 years. We've probably gone through, half a dozen defensive coordinators here, but that's been a complaint of our secondary is the guys are not where they need to be. Somebody's always out of position.
No communication.
Yeah. So it seemed like, that at least week one again, I still believe, T. Higgins, Chase, Jamar Chase,
Yeah.
Burrow, Chase Brown, that's a high powered offense.
Right.
You
100%.
know,
I mean,
and-
you
and
think
we shut
about
them
it, it's
down.
the same group they ended last year. In the last 8 games, 6 games or 8 games of last year, they were far and away the best offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, that's there was some encouraging things I think you have up here too. Bush.
Devin Bush.
Showed up, showed out.
Yeah, I was very impressed with his movement, with his energy. The knock on him has been inconsistent play on top of injuries and other things. But, so hopefully he can continue doing that.
Yeah.
But I remember it was a 4th down play, 4th and 1. He stuffed the run and, just played with high energy, got off the pile, and it was a very different Devin Bush than I remember from last year.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
But 15 tackles between your 2 linebackers. And I don't know what the total play number went for each, but
I don't have
in the
that.
first half, it was, the whole first quarter plus was 1 possession from each team.
Yeah.
So your opportunities were limited because some of those real long drives early.
Yeah.
But Schlesinger had 8 tackles, Bush had 7. I thought after the first couple series that Mason Graham, there were plays where he wasn't necessarily creating the stat,
Right.
but interior defensive linemen don't always. But he's pushing the pile back. He's getting, deep in on some of those pass plays to just break down the pocket. I know I'm not the guy who was the highest on Mason Graham. If you gave me it now, I still would take Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what I saw from him in his first game.
Yeah.
There's something there. Whether, can he be better than a Travis Hunter in the long run? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I saw in the first game is at least a good indication, hopefully, of things to come. Let me ask you a question. When you think about the defense, was there anybody, and I know the answer to this, but was there anybody you thought struggled?
No, I mean, the one thing that we don't have stats on are missed tackles.
Yeah.
That might be.
Mason Graham had 1, but he was on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's on 1 knee.
Well, I think Devin Bush
But-
had one as well, where it was, But no, I really don't. I mean, if
I guess
if I
Alex
complain
Wright's name
about-
wasn't called much. Sorry. I
yeah,
interrupted,
no,
but
Alex Wright 1 tackle. I don't know how many plays he was in. Isaiah McGuire 6
Isaiah was
tackles.
good. Isaiah, there were some plays where his motor, like he was attacking one side, got cut off, would spin or swim and go the other way, and then he did not give up. He was relentless on plays. And he's been known, at least from what I've heard, as more of a run stopper.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. I'd be interested to see his PFF grade.
Yeah.
But I thought he was great in pass rush.
Well, what I hope, it seemed like the defense was high energy, after the ball, and I hope, this loss is not a, you hope that they keep that energy, because that's what's going to keep, we need to be able to say, we can hold an elite offense. We're, back to back. We're going in. Next week.
We got to do it next week.
Next week, there's a lot of weapons. Lamar Jackson's just one of them, but Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers and Andrews. I mean, there are a plethora of options on that team too. That's going to test this defense.
Yeah,
and flying around and chasing the ball and being the, not being a guy that away from the play that's just watching.
Right.
It should be 11 helmets to the ball. That was always that was always the mantra of the defensive coordinator when I played back in the day, was 11 hats to the ball.
Yeah.
There's nobody watching. Even if it's opposite side of the field, you're still hustling over there, because you never know.
Yeah.
You could catch a cutback, you could get a turnover. There's a lot of good things that can happen when you're pursuing the ball, and that was the kind of energy I saw.
But they're going to need that, I think, to stay in games because Quinshawn, we can talk about him when we get to the rookie grades, but how long it'll take him to come up to speed to be our main back, I don't know. But without a running game and being one-dimensional, I think Flacco will be able to put some points, but you're going to have to limit, just like we did today, because the other part, which is we'll move on to the next part, is without a reliable kicking game, our special teams, we're not very good. And you don't want to say that Schmidt cost us the game, but I think even he would admit he played a big part in the result. Missing an extra point, missing a 36-yard field goal. As an NFL kicker, I know it's his first game, but it's inexcusable. You can't. Those are ones you have to make.
100%.
And if you miss one, that's the only one you missed that game. He missed an extra point and then basically another extra point. Obviously we had the debate, Hopkins or Schmidt. We all were like, I think it's time to move on from Hopkins. Well, now is it time to move on from Schmidt?
Well, that's
what do you think? Do you?
That's the question of the day. I mean, how long do you? He earned the job. Let's just call it what it is. He earned the job. So how long do you ride that horse? And I personally, I think his leash is very short.
But if you don't have a backup, somebody ready to go, you're going into another tough game with a guy that do you trust?
Well, I mean remember,
do you just go for it
when we gave up on Cade York? They pulled Hopkins
2 years ago.
Yeah, they pulled Hopkins in, right? Yeah. He wasn't on somebody's roster.
Yeah.
I could. Unfortunately, we're in a position where they've got to try and find somebody. Yeah. And what we go to Baltimore and we miss 2 more kicks. There's going to be 3 kickers Monday morning in Cleveland for a tryout.
I heard somebody going over a list of the free agent kickers today, and many of them are former Browns.
Yeah, like 4 of the 5 that I saw on that list were former Browns. That's crazy.
So we cut a guy to keep a guy, and now we're going to cut a guy to bring back another guy that we cut. Yeah. Like it's this vicious cycle of, I
mean, here's the good news.
Now, when Phil Dawson come out of retirement.
Yeah, I saw that graphic too. But here's the good news with bringing a kicker back. Once we cut them, we're usually not paying them 2 or 3 years after they were on the roster. Like I can remember there were years where we would fire a defensive coordinator or a head coach and then bring them back 2 or 3 years later, and we were still paying them from their last contract.
Right.
So at least with these kickers, if we
it's like the Cavs and their head coaches for a while.
yeah, Mike Brown.
Yeah, they were paying like 4 head coaches at one time.
Right. Yeah. So I mean that I guess if we're looking for a silver lining and retreaded kickers, that's a silver lining.
I don't know how for me, and I did hear Jason Lloyd say guys in the locker room like him and trust him. But is that teammate speak, or is that really how they feel? Because I have a hard time believing that a new guy like that has already earned the trust, especially after a game like that. Maybe.
Let me ask you, speaking your language here, back to basketball.
Okay.
No time on the clock, and a guy shooting foul shots for the win. How many games does that guy miss a foul shot that could have tied or won the game for you before you guys start to lose confidence in him?
Well, but
shots and extra points.
I have to hold on. I have to. I'm going to change your analogy, but use it.
Okay.
So, the end of a game, it's a technical, and you get to choose your free throw shooter.
Yeah.
And the guy you choose misses the free throw.
How many games you give him?
You don't. Next game, I don't think you choose that guy.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Unless it's here's the thing: if you're choosing Steph Curry and he misses, you're going back to him.
Yeah,
because he's got the
40 points.
Right,
he's the one that kept you in the game.
Right. But if you are Jalen Tyson from the Cavs, and you're a rookie last year, okay. and they choose him and he misses, they're not going back to him.
Yeah.
They're choosing somebody else the next time.
Yeah.
Like your analogy's good,
Yeah.
but you're not going back to that guy because he's young.
That's what I'm saying. The leash is going to be short. You know, this happens again.
Yeah.
You know, where he misses a crucial kick that, you know, either compromises a win or, you know, facilitates a loss, whatever, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's going to find himself on the sidelines in a different uniform or bagging groceries somewhere.
Not
quickly.
in a different uniform.
Yeah.
But a couple other special team stuff too. There was one play, and I don't know if you caught it. It was a little disappointing, and I know it's like bang bang, but Bojorquez punted it. It's a beautiful punt, and I don't know who the guy running down the sideline was. He got to about the 2-yard line, and I'd have to go back and watch it. But in real time, it doesn't look like he ever tried to locate the ball, and the ball bounced maybe a yard to his right and bounced into the end zone. He had, it appeared, ample time to catch the ball and bury Cincinnati deep in their own territory.
Yeah.
And he just kind of went there and looked at the guy catching the ball instead of looking for the ball.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like in real time. Like, to me, those are things that I'm not a football guy in terms of the coaching side of things, but if you're that deep and you're behind the guy receiving the ball,
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to locate the ball, not the guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you played football.
Yeah,
longer
that's
than me.
definitely that. You know, those gunners. You know, that's tough to do. It's tough to be running at a full sprint, focused on is this guy going to catch the ball, and that's where your focus is, and then refocus to try and locate the ball. You're not even sure, you know, if you're in the right area or not. So, you know,
Let me ask you
hear
this.
it.
Do they do any communication? Like, because somebody's seeing the ball.
Yeah.
Are there any call outs or any communication?
Yeah,
Like, I'll use this as an example.
it could, you know, you're gonna hear right, left. You know, they're gonna be making calls, but again, you know, if you're in the outfield and the ball gets cracked over your head and you take your eye off the ball and run back toward the fence, and then try and look up and catch it, you can never take your eye off that ball.
Well, they do it though.
Pros do, I guess. Yeah,
Right.
you're true. Yeah, that's
You know,
true. Yeah.
But I was thinking, like in basketball, when I was coaching, if you're dribbling the ball up the court,
Yeah.
and a guy comes up behind you to try to swipe the ball, teammates would yell Bruce.
Yeah.
So you knew a guy was coming behind you.
Yeah.
You know, so if the gunner's running down the field and, you know, a coach or somebody on the sideline or somebody in the game wants him to locate the ball, you know, if there's a call for that versus, and again, I don't know.
Well, and there was always
but
a Peter.
I thought there was a chance.
We always had a Peter call, you know, Peter. If the ball's, you know, if you don't want, you know, get away from the ball, don't touch the ball, you know, that's for the receiving team, you know. But yeah, to your point, you know, those are potentially missed opportunities to make a huge defensive play. One standout that maybe is not on the graphic, Aiden Hutchinson made another huge special teams tackle.
He plays for Detroit.
What's it? Aiden Huntington. Sorry, Aiden Huntington.
I mean, I wish we had Aiden Hutchinson, but I doubt he'd be on special teams.
Aiden Huntington. I think he was an undrafted free agent. Made a huge impact special teams in the preseason. Yeah. And then, you know, got some burn on the defensive line. Yeah. And made a huge special teams tackle. Made a pretty big hit. So that was kind of nice to see too. And then you got what?
DeAndre Carter, I thought was the lone special teams standout, like bright spot. I thought he did a nice job on punts of finding some lanes. I mean, he averaged 13 yards of punt return, 26 on kick returns. Didn't take anything long, but always got something. Mm-hmm. Always positive yards. Didn't have any punt returns where I don't even think he had a fair catch. I think he was able to return them all. Never, caught the ball and was tackled right away. Like, always found something to create some yardage and some positive yardage. Yeah, we still gave him an F because of the kicking game. Yeah. But if I had to give him a grade as a returner, in my opinion, it's at least an A. Yeah. I thought he did really well.
Well, we've gone several years without a regular season.
We keep signing a specialist and they get hurt.
They get hurt in the preseason or never make it to a game. Yeah. I mean, it's been several years since we've had a guy that this is our guy. Yeah. And
Have we had anybody designated as that since Josh Cribbs?
I mean, not that's been a standout.
Right. I mean, usually it's been like a running back or somebody like that, but not somebody we brought in that was healthy.
Yeah.
That was their job. And so hopefully he can continue to shine, because I think that's going to be a big part of what we do moving forward. So let's transition on to rookie report. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can see that a little bit now that I'm looking at it. It's a little bit small here, but hopefully when you guys watch it, it's a little bit bigger. But overall, again, I'm not a Barry guy. I don't think he's done a good job. I think he's got a lot of red marks on his resume. But my opinion on this first game with the rookie class is I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good to be had.
Yeah.
We'll start with Dylan Sampson.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. There's just, he was a extremely bright spot. I mean, I can't say it was necessarily bright in the running game, but every time he touched the ball, he was moving in the right direction. And, 8 catches on 8 targets, 64 receiving yards. But again, most of his average was 3.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So he was moving in the right direction. And I think he's going to be a dynamic player. You put another running back, a bell cow running back, Quinshon Judkins is what if he becomes what we think he is,
right.
He is going to be a great change of pace back.
Oh yeah,
is what they
Well, and I think you'd be able to bring both of them in.
Yeah.
Run some 2-back sets or Judkins with in the backfield and put Sampson out wide.
Yeah. Which again, that's the beauty of this draft class, because Bannon played all over the place in the backfield, in the slot, tight, wide.
Yeah. Versatile.
And Sampson kind of gives you, the versatility too. That's kind of exciting, to be able to have mismatches. A team wants to go man to man with us, and you've got, Fannin creates problems.
Yeah.
You try and put a linebacker, a big guy that can't move, and Sampson, you catch him in the wide open, and you have to create
some definite mismatches.
You only got to break one tackle to make something exciting happen.
Yeah.
So I was real pleased to see how they utilized him. And I know we've already talked about Fannin too, but those were two that it just was. It's like yes, not only did. Because that was my fear if we had drafted Travis Hunter, was how would we utilize a guy like that?
However you want.
It was nice to see that we had these guys and we utilized them.
Yeah.
And early, it's game 1. And here we've got.
And I think I hadn't really thought about this till now, but it's encouraging that a guy with Flacco's experience trusted those guys enough to give them 17 targets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of those were dump offs and things like that, but he's still throwing them the ball instead of trying to force it into a receiver.
Yeah.
And, hopefully too, the more that those guys get used, even if it's in dump off situations, the more they're going to have to cover up and open stuff up for the receivers. But the one thing I'll add for Dylan Sampson, I'll move on to Fannin, was all we heard all preseason was how tiny he is. How little he is. He may was it Zach Jackson, I think, said that Dylan Sampson next to Dylan Gabriel was like Dylan Gabriel next to Joe Flacco.
Right.
Like that's how tiny he appears.
Yeah.
But so I wasn't sure in a live game what to expect, but the thing that was impressive to me, given that, was how hard he was to take down.
Yeah.
Like he didn't go down at the first sign of contact. It wasn't like it took 3 guys to take him down like it did in Njoku.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like, boop.
Yeah, right.
fall down.
Right.
He actually had to be. You going to bed, bud? Come here, give me a hug. You okay? Sorry, my son's going to bed.
Say hi to our fans.
Hey, hold on.
Tell them like and subscribe.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi.
Love you, bud. I'll see you. But that was just the one thing you didn't mention that I liked is there's at least some ability for him to make plays through contact.
Yeah.
So now
That's huge.
moving on to Harold Fannin, I'm not going to belabor the point. He was the guy in the draft I wanted above anybody else. He had the one drop. You could say it wasn't a perfectly thrown pass. He'll tell you, I guarantee it, he should have caught the pass. But man, oh man, what a dynamic player. And what you talk about, what you can do with him is, we don't have the greatest receiving core, but you still have to respect the receivers.
Yeah.
And so if you're putting out, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku, you've got a running back coming out of the backfield like Dylan Sampson, you don't have enough guys on the field to cover a Harold Fannin. And because of his athleticism, his size, his strength, I think he really could pose some real mismatches with teams.
Yeah.
And the knock on him coming in is he was so raw. Who cares?
Yeah.
Harold, go run.
Yeah.
Like the one play I showed you, there was a play where Joe Flacco drops back, gets under pressure, rolls out to the right. Initially on the broadcast, it looked like he was going to throw it away, like he was looking to the sideline to throw it away. And then he runs the sideline, he throws it over the top to Fannin, over top of the defender. Well, on replay, Fannin was standing on the sideline looking for the ball with his defender right there.
Yeah.
And it was like Flacco was telling him, run.
Yeah.
He didn't have a route.
Right.
He just ran.
Yeah.
He just, go, I'll get you the ball.
Yeah.
And with Flacco savvy and able to place the ball, he has time to learn.
Yeah.
Just get him out on the field, tell him to run, and have Flacco find him.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of his talent. The talent is there. The refinement can take time.
Sure.
Like you have the time to refine the skills, the route running, the understanding of the playbook. But in the meantime, the kid just makes plays.
Yeah. No, there's not a whole lot to complain about. I'm not even complaining about the drop, because he gave us way more positive than that. And I think that's, again, between him and Sampson on the offensive side of the ball, from what I've seen, there's cause for optimism with what our offense could be. And we haven't seen everybody. We got a limited glimpse at Isaiah Bond. One
catch for 5 yards. And it's what we thought. Get the ball to him out in the flat and let him use his speed, see what he can do.
Yeah.
Again, I think my guess with him is I would assume he'll become your primary slot receiver at some point.
Yeah.
It may not be till mid-season or late in the season as he gets adjusted with no preseason, but I don't think it's going to be Jamari Thrash. I think this year's Elijah Moore will eventually be Isaiah Bond.
Yeah. Well, and that could get cut down with just the emergence of Fannin too.
Yeah,
I think again there's options and packages, and I think that's the exciting thing that again, maybe we haven't been huge fans of Stefanski's scheming, but he's got a lot of pieces to plug in to give different looks and achieve different things. And
not the highest talent level of them, but versatile players.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, now that you say that, although one of the most versatile players is the one they passed on, but I'm not bitter.
I'm glad you're not.
But the players they got outside of Mason Graham are guys who seem to be versatile. Swessinger, which we'll talk about in a second. A linebacker who is good against the run, who's got the athleticism to guard guys in the pass game. You've got the Judkins and Sampson, versatile running back room. You've got Isaiah Bond, which brings that speed, and it's just guys who can do a little bit more, Fannin, than just I'm good at this.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So
yeah. No, it's. Again, I'm not ready to fully endorse Barry as a draft guy, but
five failed drafts and one good one.
From what I've seen,
one
this
out of
year,
6 is 17%.
Yeah.
Please don't
Yeah, I'm not
jump
endorsing
on his
him.
train
I'm
yet.
not endorsing him,
Okay.
but I am saying from what I've seen from the rookies in week 1,
Yes, very encouraging.
It's encouraging. So, again, there's going to be bumps in the road, and again, that's why I am so high on Joe Flacco. I know he's not the long-term solution. I'm not that naive to think that Joe Flacco is going to be.
But he buys time
He buys
for
time
the
and
rookies to learn.
He gives steady, calming leadership, and he does things the right way.
And the guys like him.
Yeah. And I think that's, he's going to put us in position, again, he's going to put us in position to make that game-winning field goal.
Right. Right.
And then it's on somebody else. He's going to put us in position. He's going to put the ball on 3rd down in Cedric Tillman's hands or Harold Fannon's hands.
Yeah.
And on 4th down, he's going to put it in Jerry Jeudy's hands. And then those guys got to do their job. And, I think that's what we can expect. And I don't see us getting blown out. I don't see us getting run over completely this year. I see us being highly competitive, but there's going to need to be some guys that step up.
Yeah,
and
I hope so. I don't want to punt on the season because I think there's too many valuable vets that deserve an honest try.
Yeah,
but I'm not convinced, and this is topic for another show. I'm not convinced that they want to because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
That they at some point are going to feel like they need to see what you have in Gabriel and see what you have in Sanders.
Yeah.
Whether, now, if this is the only game we lose and we go on an 8-game win streak, then it changes things. But if we're at 500 or worse, they're going to eventually make that change.
They're going to, and I think we
it's
all,
coming.
As a fan base, I think we all need to, I don't necessarily say brace for that, but I think we deserve to know what we have going into next year too. We've got 2 first-round draft picks next year. At this point, is a more stacked quarterback draft.
Yeah.
If these 2 guys aren't it, we need to know.
Right. No, I agree.
Dallas is another team. Dak's not getting any younger, and they've got 2 first-round picks next year.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're the only. And we talked about this off podcast. 12 teams a year. I don't know if it's every year, but this past year, 12 teams cycled quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So the bottom, third of the league is usually cycling the quarterback, and we've obviously been in that cycle almost every year.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know, is one of these guys it? If not, we spent a 3rd-round pick. I always perceive Dylan Gabriel as going to be a calm, steady, short, left-handed backup that can, maybe he's going to be great, but, I don't see it yet. I think there's a lot of talent in Shedeur Sanders, but he's raw, and I don't think he's ready for that at this point. Now, again, maybe
we'll probably. My guess is we'll find out around week 7. Once we get through that gauntlet.
Yeah.
If we're 1-5.
Yeah. We're gonna probably make a change.
Move. That's my guess.
And I don't think any of us would be completely shocked or disappointed any more than we are that we're 1-5.
Right.
But
and I think if we're 1-5, we're going to be sitting here going, let's just see what we got in the other quarterback.
Yeah.
Like at this point, what do you got to lose?
Let's play it out. And let's see, if we're going to be buying this guy's jersey or if we're going to be drafting a quarterback next year, right? I mean,
going to add them to the list of quarterbacks that have played on that jersey.
That's right. I mean, would it really be a full season in Cleveland if we didn't start 3 or 4 starting quarterbacks? I mean, could we go through a season with one? I don't know when the last time that's actually happened for us, when one quarterback's played every snap all year. That's something maybe we look up for the next show.
Baker didn't do it, did he?
Yeah.
Or there wasn't a year that Baker did it?
I don't know, maybe.
The year we went to the playoffs with Baker, did he do it?
That would have been, 2020?
I don't know. But regardless, it doesn't happen often enough to.
It certainly hasn't happened often enough that I remember it.
Right.
So,
right.
Other rookies, notables, and we talked about them on the defensive side. Schwessinger
Yep.
a huge standout. Graham, a huge standout.
Yeah, I thought in the second half they both were. And again, without going back and rewatching every play, I felt like every time you looked at them, their play was positive.
Yeah.
Like Mason Graham looked mean the way he played. I loved it.
Yeah.
I did. I love the way he just was going at guys. There were plays where he's on the ground trying to make a play. He got pancaked, but he's on the ground trying to make a play. He never didn't give up.
Do you think
No.
if Harbaugh was
No.
giving him the signs of what the play was coming, he would have had more on the stat line? I'm just curious, if that may have made an impact on the stat line. I don't know.
It will this week when there's a Harbaugh on the sideline.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if Mason Graham's stealing the signs
Yeah.
since he knows how to do it.
Yes.
No, but and then Schlesinger. It seemed like even when he wasn't making the tackle, like he was there.
Yeah.
Like he was all over the field. He was flying around. Like it just. I am always going to be somebody who values effort above ability within a system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now, if you can get effort and ability, obviously that's what you want. Those are your all-time great players. But guys who just don't give up, guys who are given ultimate effort every play, they're gonna impact not just that play, that game, but they're going to impact the culture in the locker room.
Yeah.
And those are guys I think that you can build around because they're setting a tone for other guys to follow. And hopefully if you've got rookies doing that they're learning it from somebody and that there's a culture in the locker room that's a little bit different this year than what it very much seemed like last year.
Yeah.
Last year was very much seemed like we were on vacation mode. So anything on the rookies before we head to close out with a few random topics?
No.
All right. So just wanted to touch on some random stuff, but Buckeyes versus Grambling. Obviously they had the big win versus Texas the week before, and in the concern coming off a big win is always the big letdown. Now that may be why you schedule a Grambling State after Texas. But still, thoughts?
Yeah. No, it's.
Is there anything to be gained from this game?
I believe there is because I think you get some rhythm and confidence, and I think that's what Sayin needed. Texas, as advertised, tough defense.
Yeah.
We did not light the scoreboard up. There wasn't 400 yards of passing offense and touchdowns thrown all over the place. So that's a tough first game for a first-year quarterback.
Yeah.
But to see him come back week 2, poised, again, it's Grambling State, and that's not a knock.
No.
HBCU.
But even their coach came in and said it was a competition between the bands.
Battle of the bands, yeah. But
it's a money game for them.
They
know.
Yeah, they schedule it because it pays for their program for a couple
I did it
years,
as a
I'm
coach.
sure.
You schedule games against really good teams so you can get some money so you can fund your program.
Yeah,
100%.
And so, but I think from our perspective, there was good things in the confidence building execution. I think there's going to be some good tape on this was good. The route running, the blocking schemes. There was a lot of good things that we can I think utilize. Coaching wise going forward, so I think that was good. It's, we're now the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Got a bullseye on our back every time we step on the field.
Yeah. So
we're getting everybody's A+ game.
Yes. Yeah. Now, am I ready to, throw Sayin in for the Heisman at this point? Absolutely not. But I am encouraged by what I see. I think he's, I saw, between week 1 and week 2, this is why he won the starting job. And, he's surrounded by talent. I think our running game is not what it was with Henderson and Judkins.
One of the things I was going to say. Although I want there's one thing I want to go ahead. You finish.
The running game's not what it was, but it was nice to see even when our backups came in, we held the shutout. That's always been a
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
you hate to have your starters play 3 quarters and dominate like that, and then the backups come in and you end up giving up touchdown or 2 touchdowns or something like that at the end of the game. Just kind of
It's
nice
hard
to close out and shut out and put your best foot forward. We don't have too many of those. All the Big Ten games are going to be meaningful and tough. The schedule's not going to be a cakewalk, but yeah, I was encouraged.
Yeah. I thought so. There were 2 things I thought that I took away. Now, first of all, our defense is ridiculously good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not one of them. But I think they're going to keep us in every game, even if our offense isn't in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Downs is unreal.
He's a beast.
Oh. Now, having said that, the 2 things I noticed. I was trying to watch. I was actually mowing. I was trying to watch while I was mowing, and it was difficult. But anyway, Julian saying, obviously their defensive backs aren't the caliber of what we're going to face in the Big Ten. We have Jeremiah, Carnell Tate back, but largely an unproven wide receiver group. And so I was trying to pay attention to the connection between Sayan and the receiving group. And there were a lot of passes that I saw where his touch on the pass, I was really impressed with. Guys on the run, dropping it right into the basket.
Yeah.
In stride, not short, not long. And that will play against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care how good a defender is. If you're dropping it a perfect pass, that defender doesn't have a chance.
Right.
So that's why I liked that his accuracy and timing seemed really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged by that. Number 2, and I hope to see more. Number 1, because I want to hear his name called. But number 2, now again, it's against the backups. I get that mostly. I loved the way Bo Jackson ran.
Yeah.
I love the way he ran. He ran with a ferociousness, he found a hole, he hit it, he hit guys, I liked the way he ran.
Yeah.
And I like his name. And I want to see more of Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
because I think our running game needs an injection of something.
Yeah. And you may see, because I think, and maybe not necessarily a knock on the other 2 guys, but it just wasn't what we're used to seeing over the past couple of years,
Right.
So
well, we've had experienced blue chippers.
Yeah.
Last year Travion and Judkins were experienced veteran running backs.
Yeah.
And so the year before,
either one of them just studs. It was Travion and somebody else.
They're both of them would have started last year on probably any program in the country, and we had them both.
Yeah.
The year before it was Trey Sermon.
Yes, Trey Sermon. That's right.
Who was again
school record holder for most yards in the game too.
Yeah. So and he was an experienced guy that we got in. So this is it's a new group, so hopefully they're figuring it out. But I think we need to see more Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
And I actually heard Garrett Bush, G. Bush. I think he was the one talking about, and I didn't see much from him in the first game, so I wanted to see. He was the one raving about him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You guys got to see this guy." And now I see what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He's just an animal, and we need more of that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to force the other guys to step up.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on.
Preview. It's a quick preview on Baltimore game next Sunday.
Yeah. Again, dynamic offense Baltimore has. Their defense is not what it's been. So I think they can be exploited, and it's not just because Buffalo hung 41 points. Buffalo is an elite offense as well. But Baltimore's defense is not what it was.
But I'd take our receiving group over theirs. Now, I'd take Josh Allen over Joe Flacco.
Yes.
But I think our receiving group is better than theirs.
Yeah. So, if we have Judkins this week, and if we get the same kind of performance out of the offense, and our defense can, listen, Lamar Jackson is going to scramble and gain yards. Their offense is going to do Derrick Henry is going to gain yards. It's we're not going to shut those guys down, I don't believe. But
although we typically do okay with Derrick Henry. He actually, if you go back and look, his worst games are generally against us.
Yeah. Well, this team had 238 rushing yards against Buffalo and 208 passing yards.
Yeah.
You know, they're a balanced team.
Yeah.
They're going to try and run the ball. You know, our defense, we gave up 40 some yards on the ground, and most of that, or all of it, was in the first couple drives.
Yeah. Think about this. Derrick Henry yesterday outgained the entire Bengals offense.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's going to be some challenges for our defense.
Yeah.
I believe our offense could be poised to have a good day. I mean, you know, I'm concerned if we don't have more of a running attack, you know, it could be a recipe for disaster. This offense is designed to have a running game.
Score prediction.
I would say, I'm going to say 24-21 Baltimore.
Okay. I think it's a game that.
Actually, no, I'm going to 24-18 Baltimore, because we miss all 3 extra points and get rid of this kicker.
Harsh. But maybe,
sorry, Mr. Schmidt.
Or actually 24-18 because we go for all 2-point conversions.
I'd actually be okay with that.
I'm not as optimistic for 2 reasons. Number one, I think if we win this game, we're kind of riding a high and a motivation and a belief in ourselves that we don't have now because we lost. Number two, I think you're talking about a championship caliber team that knows they gave away game 1. And I think they're going to come out with an extra oomph in their step. And I think we'll have a little better rhythm offensively, but I don't think Judkins will play. And if he does, I don't think it's going to be much. I think he might get 10 plays just to see what he can do. Because he doesn't know blocking schemes. He doesn't know, so when you put him in, it's literally going to be to hand off to simple running plays. So I don't think he'll play. And if he does, it's sparingly. If he doesn't play, we don't really have a running game. And I think it's a veteran coach, a veteran team that's going to be well equipped for a one-dimensional offense the caliber of Cleveland's. We don't have Josh Allen. And so I think our offense is going to struggle to score points because we're one-dimensional. And I think their offense is going to be clicking, and we never do well with Mark Andrews. He always kills us. I don't know why. Now, maybe Schlesinger is better. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because it just clicked off on me again.
Yeah.
We'll
that'll be interesting.
So,
I think that's.
I'm thinking more a 35-17 type game. Oof. So
I hope you're. I hope you're wrong.
But, I hope I'm wrong too.
But you could be right. We'll find out.
The last thing that was up there that's gone now was our fantasy football league. I got absolutely demolished. I actually had a respectable score. My team is Chubb's Remembrance, Nick Chubb. This one's for you, but we stunk. Now, I did maybe. Do I have more points than you still?
110.
I'm right at 110 something. So
yeah.
I'm not against Jason, but I'm going to see if I beat him, but I don't think I will.
We're essentially tied right now. You got me by 0.13.
Okay.
0.15.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to lose. Jason's probably going to win. But I am going to blame it on the commissioner of the league.
Also
because,
me.
Yeah, it's also Jason. Because didn't know we needed the app. Had my kids in it. Didn't have time to explain it to them. And every pick, I'm trying to get them going. And I'm getting late on my picks. And I'm panic picking. And we were trying to play a family game of heads up out on the deck while we were roasting s'mores. And it was just a whole lot of bad in one evening. And my team sucks.
It just seems like a whole lot of excuses. But,
yes.
And I do recall maybe day or two prior to the draft, offering some advice of a video that could help your children with drafting strategies.
Yeah, I know. It was just busy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll keep updates going from week to week. Hopefully we'll have the graphics working better next time. I'll probably try to use a different laptop. Anything on closing before we close out?
No. Shout out to Parker and Joey for having great weeks in fantasy. So those two guys.
Not me. Yeah, one of them was against me.
Oh.
I lost by at one point yesterday. I have Derrick Henry, and fortunately he saved this. But at one point yesterday, I was losing by more points than I had.
Well,
I had 58 points, and I was losing by 65.
You could be Dane, who scored a whopping 66 points.
Oh gosh!
On his,
did he really?
This is his inaugural fantasy excursion.
That's a nightmare.
So that's things did not start, and to lose that bad to your mom.
Yeah, that,
my wife.
Shout out to Nikki.
Shout out to Nikki for the fantasy draft. Yeah.
Dane.
Sorry, Dane.
Yeah.
Love you, but
got to pick it up, bro.
Yeah.
I got to trade for you.
All right.
All right. Well, that's all we got for today. Hopefully we'll be, each week and a little better, trying to refine this until we can get Michael back. But appreciate you guys being patient with us, especially over the hiatus over the summer while life happened. But hopefully we'll get a little more consistent with this, and give us your feedback. Let us know, what you want us to talk about, things to discuss, things to cover, your opinions, thoughts on the setup and what we're trying to do with it. Why we are, we don't have our own studio, our own equipment right now, trying to grow a little bit. And please share, comment on all the socials. That obviously helps us out, gives us exposure.
Any big Baltimore fans that that would like to maybe do a video call and give us a little opinion on a preview of next week's game, and we could do like a kind of channel in. If anybody knows anybody, add us in.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody, and hopefully we'll be back next week and talking a win